son, yeah. I used to love going down there, actually.
Chased by the police used to go nigger hunting.
Really important, really significant. And also there were some
South Africa and all these places, wars of national struggles for independence.
Yeah, it was just that spot. It was famous for being that spot, and it was where everybody wanted to come to be a part of what was going on, because that was the spot.
There was one long road, from Atlantic Road right up to Railton Road. But there's only a specific part of Railton Road where you'd say is the front line.
Halfway down Railton Road, right down to Atlantic Road into Brixton, that was known as the front line.
It was really all ethnic shops.
Just down the road there on the left-hand side, a man called Broderick had a little shop where you could buy West Indian food, fried dumplings, ackee and saltfish and so on. Opposite, there was a cafe called Peggy's Cafe, where a lot of street people would go and you could get really good Jamaican food. This lady called Peggy was renowned all over London for her Jamaican dishes. And beside that was a betting shop, and underneath the restaurant was a gambling house.
It was a colourful place. If you wanted to know about life and reality, you stepped down Railton Road.
I was 15-year-old, right? When I met my mother had a little conflict. And I don't have nowhere to sleep or stay. So there was a place down the road there, right, named Bishop. They used to have a gambling house, an all-night party and a restaurant upstairs, and a gambling den.
You got to eat, so you got a restaurant there, you got a barber shop, you got a hairdresser, you got a taxi. That means you come and you eat, you buy your national food, and you don't want to drive or what, there's a cab over there. That's how it used to run. That's the memory of it.
It was the place to be seen. It was a place where people went and showed off their fashion, their clothes. If they had a nice car, if they had jewelry. That was the place where if you wanted to be seen, you go on the line.
It was Hollywood in those days, you know what I'm saying? It's a different ball game now, you know what I'm saying? And we did not, there was no gun, there was only ganja.
I didn't know run-ins meant up to no good. Yes? I didn't know that Shubin was a dive that plays good music. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Shabine, yeah, that son, yeah. I used to love going down there, actually. Well, it was a completely different world for me, coming from the countryside in the South Coast.
The vibration amongst us in those days was just something else.
It's a place where the men, especially the men, they meet each other who they know from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And that was like a meeting place. Instead of going to each other's house and meeting at the individual house, everybody just meet up at the front line. And that's where we used to gather, chat, discuss, talk about the past and things like that,
we had to run the gauntlet of the brothers on Railton Road. They were on the street corners and, doing whatever they were doing. And so you had to walk past them to get way down here. We just shot the breeze with them a little bit. Where you going, my sister? Oh, I'm going to my meeting, and all right.
We grew up on it, we eat on it, we play on it, we party on it, you name it.
Streatham, Norwood, Clapham, Camberwell, all these places. People come from all these places and meet up here on Railton Road.
I think it's now a church building over there. That's the original site of the original St. Jude's Primary School. This door entrance here that's called Temple of Truth, that was not there. It was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows, and the entrance that you went in was round the side here. That took you round to the playground.
Just down the road there's a Methodist church on the right-hand side, Railton Methodist Church. It used to be Railton Methodist Church and Youth and Community Centre. And we had our youth club there.
I have some amazingly happy memories of just being in this space in the summertime rather than being at home doing chores all the time. They had a centre at the back where there were people that would do, they'd just do projects. I remember just playing table tennis and maybe basketball. There was kind of like a gym-like space at the back. And they'd do trips as well and also craft things. They were like youth workers. Pretty much everybody who worked there, I think at the time, were black. Most of the kids were local black kids from around here.
Twice a week we would have a disco. We had sound systems. The resident sound system at one time was Soprano B, and another time we had Neville King, and various other sound systems. So Friday night was a night when we all went out as teenagers, you know, dancing and all that, listening to the latest tunes from Jamaica and all of that.
It's like our place.
Yeah,
we felt
it's like
free.
a park.
Yeah, we felt
free.
We never feel like, well, we had to, you know, baba weave. It was our place.
Yeah.
And we defend that, you know?
Somewhere for young people to kind of feel like they owned. The line was theirs, was ours.
The police couldn't go down there. It was a no-go area for them. You know what I mean? Because it was about territory. So when you go back to feeling of that sense of belong, they felt that that was their territory, whoever was on that front line. And they defended their territory at any cost.
Liberation struggles that were being fought in Africa. They talked about the front line, you know. I'm thinking about places like Angola, Mozambique, South Africa, and all these places, wars of national struggles for independence. It was an allusion to those struggles that was taking place because we were fighting our own struggles here with the police.
We were all in the same boat, being chased by the police. The police used to go nigger hunting, and anybody caught were beaten up and so on. You know, they used to stick your head down in the toilets, and use the toilets and stick your head down in it. So they were nasty in Brixton.
The building next to this building, 74 Shakespeare Road, was the headquarters of a journal called Race Today. And after a few years we moved to this building, 165 Railton Road. It was a collective of activists, black activists. We called the Race Today Collective. Darcus Howe was the editor. I was a member. Farouk Dundee was a member. It was an international journal that covered issues to do with race in this country and further afield.
So alongside us, there were other people fighting for their rights. Women's rights, squatters' rights, you had the anarchists.
The squatting community around here was really important, really significant. And also there were some gay and lesbian rights organisation. Yeah, this is the laundrette, because you can see the tiles on the side. And I think this is also the place where they had the squat and they had like a activist thing or something in the basement.
Out of our determination to organize autonomously, we understood that we needed to create a different path, if you will. And so what we created was Black socialist feminist thought.
There used to be a lot of anti-fascist and anti-racist marches going along here in the late 70s, and yeah, it must have been around the mid to late 70s that would go up Railton Road and then go into Brockwell Park.
One of the significant things that we were involved in was organizing a demonstration called the Black People's Day of Action on the 2nd of March 1981. That was in response to the fascist killing of 13 young black people at a party at 439 New Cross Road in southeast London. on the 17th of January 1981. It was an arson attack. It was the biggest show of black people's power in this country. We put 15 to 20,000 people on the streets. This country had never seen anything like that before, or since for that matter.
In the 60s, when my parents came, they weren't greeted in Brixton. The sign says, no blacks, no Irish and no dogs. That's in the 60s. By the 80s, we were fighting for our rights. The right to exist, to understand the location around us and how we interact with that, and a sense of belonging. And that was a time of the Thatcher government.
What it was, stop and search. Your son will go out, he might go in ordinary way. Police stop him, shake him down.
It was called the sus law. So that means you suspect them to be committing a crime, even though they actually didn't commit one.
Racist police officers used it to criminalize a lot of black youth. And because we were younger and more defiant than our parents, we wouldn't put up with a lot of the stuff that our parents put up with. It was war.
81 was steam that was ready to just blow, yeah? So people took to the streets, their frustration to the street.
Is it the police had to keep a vigilant all Friday night and Saturday? They caused it all this. If they try and keep away as they usually do, and just patrol the place as they usual, this wouldn't have happened.
There's people that remember the riots and the uprising more than they remembered why it was caused.
No one who knew what was going on within the community at the time was surprised.
The police had blocked off Railton Road and they were beating their batons against the shields.
Half of Railton Road was a battleground between black youth and the police.
The black youths, I think that they're just standing up for themselves and their rights.
So although it was a space where anything could happen, it was also a space where you felt like you was constantly guarded, watched. There was always guardians out here, and whether they were community leaders, you know, from the youth centre in terms of Dexter, to business people who own some of the shops on the road, to the street guys, everyone kind of still had a sense of responsibility to the youngsters.